Welcome back to Spinning the Past. Today I wanted to make a quick little video about kind of like my favorite things. You know how Oprah has my favorite things, but I'm not going to be able to give all of you this for free, but it's some things that you could put on your Christmas list for this year or years to come. So these are kind of what my basic tools were for Master Spinner. And whenever I use spinning, I still use all these tools, and some of these will apply to knitters as well, and I'll do a separate video for knitters. But first of all, a lot of you knitters will also know that this is a center pull ball. So as I spin and I don't have a factory produced ball, then I can make my own on this. And this is barely hanging on. Be sure when you buy one of these things that this right here will fit the table that you need to attach it to. This right here I like for doing large quantities of worsted, or I also use this for rippling my flax. Here's bobbins. Extra bobbins are always good to have. These are Lendrum bobbins. I have, let's see, I think I still have 7 spinning wheels, plus a whole myriad of other spinning contraptions. But this is a thick core. I have the highest speed flyers because I was doing a lot of cotton spinning. So the thick core for really fine threads and yarns was helpful. And of course, these bobbins are kind of expensive, so I have other techniques for storage, but I'll talk about that in another video. Something like this that is a wraps per inch. When I first started out, the wraps per inch were all the rage, but then this spinner's control card came out, which is supposed to mimic how many wraps per inch. So that's what these little numbers suggest here. So this fatness of it, we call it grist. This is 6, so that would be 6 twists per inch, or wraps per inch, sorry. Then this would be 10 wraps per inch. So this is upside down and backwards for me. So I'm trying to read it 14. So this is helpful if it's I put down my spinning and I pick it up again, and I want to get back to the same whatever I was spinning. Now, this is really helpful in the beginning. It's really helpful for certain yards, especially if you need it consistent. So this is very helpful. This one has the twist angles, which I also find very helpful because twist angles matter. So 45 degrees is what I'm aiming for having it for warp and maybe even weft, but definitely for warp. I need that twist angle on my yarn. This is another interesting tool. So some of you may know it's a linen thread counter. So this comes from the fabric world, where they needed to put the fabric on them. They needed to count how many threads there were per inch. And we do something similar in spinning, except underneath there, I will look at how many bumps per inch, or we call it twists per inch. And when you get to things that are really fine, like cotton, or the the really narrow threads with high twist counts, like I'm doing, which is linen, I need something like this. So this is really helpful to see the yarn and how it's composed. This is a gadget that I thought was helpful. This is a yarn balance. So you would drape a certain length of yarn, and then this would balance out. You would take that and then you would measure it. There is in the box a whole thing on how to use it, but I don't use it very much anymore. But there's certain people out there who may still want to try that out when you're starting out. It's always good to know that. But this is what I use a lot now. So this is a triple balance a triple beam balance, and it's in grams. And for my master spinner, every single skein we spun, and they were uniformly 10 yards long, we had to weigh because we had to figure out the Bradford counts on that. So we needed, and also when we're weighing out, you can see here the 0.1, weighing out really fine fibers like silks, you really need it to these 2 decimal places here. So this was, I use this every single day, and I still use it. And I'm able through this to do the algebra backwards and figure out how much yardage I have. So if I have that ball, I don't know how much yardage is, I can either use a niddy noddy or I can weigh it, and then I can figure that out. But speaking of niddy noddies, this is a beautiful niddy noddy, and this is exactly 1 yard. So it would go 9 inches, 9 inches, 9 inches, 9 inches. So that's exactly a yard. I found that a lot of niddy noddies are just, they're not metric, they're just a certain number, and that didn't help me. I had to have exactly 10 yards all the time for my master spinner, so I needed something like this. Or if I had a 2 yard, but something that was even. If you work in metric, you get one in metric. That's a unit of metric. This is the same thing, again, a yard one, but this is plastic PCB pipe, which I use if the yarn is wet or any other reason I'm going to steam it or something like that. Then I don't want to put any steam on this beautiful piece of wood, so I don't want to do that. So some other things, you knitters would know what this is, right? So some of you have seen yarn umbrellas. So you would put your hank on there, your skein on there, and then you, coupled with that, you would reel it off onto that to make a center pull. I prefer this style because I work with a lot of fine threads and yarns, and they just fall off, the umbrella style ones. So I use this one, this type. This supports the lighter weight, if that makes sense. So it works on all kinds of yarns, but I just have learned I like this a lot. Now this is back here a Lazy Kate. So when you are done spinning your individual bobbins, you will take, let's say this is a 2-ply, you take 2 of these threads, and then you would counter spin it, and then that would make, you can see it's kind of these pigtails. It's plying back on itself. Then so that's how you make a plied yarn. This style is called a ladder style. Judith McKenzie brought it to my attention, and I got it, and I really enjoy it. So I use that all the time. From other videos, I've shown you these mini combs. I use these all the time. For I said I was doing a lot of sampling. So if you're doing small quantities of things, these are very reasonably priced. And then for beginners, just this doesn't give me how many teeth. Normally they will say on the bottom how many teeth per square inch. So this is the spacing between it, tells me what kind of fibers it can handle. So this would be a medium to a coarse fiber. If you're dealing with a longer fiber and you just want something really, really basic, you can, this is called a flickarder. So I would hold the long staple, let's say Lincoln, by one end, and I would have it on my lap, and I would kind of bat it so the fibers spread out, because preparation is like 90% of spinning is that prep. It has to be a good prep for good spinning. I've used this also to flick open some cotton So the cotton that's still on the seed, you can spin off the seed, and I would use this to kind of flick that open as well. And don't forget that we a Diz I showed in another video. So this is really, you know, could be a nice stocking stuffer for someone like that. This is very helpful if you're doing top. Again, if you want to work with longer fibers, it's just kind of the staple, you know, like I'm showing you today what like a basic kit is for hand spinning. So this is, you can see it here, this is my repair kit. So this is specifically, I think I have this Lendrum, but I've got other cords in here. So replacement cords, other things. All sorts of screwdrivers and Allen wrenches and some of this graphite powder, some fine sandpaper. So just all the little stuff that if something goes wrong with my spinning wheel, then it's all in one spot. So if you are spinning, then be sure that you have a kit for your spinning wheel. Again, it's just a brief video, kind of like my favorite things that I use in hand spinning all the time. Again, if you have any questions about, you know, want more information about these, or you have other questions about what other things, this is not everything that's available in the spinning world. New things come out all the time. I have tons of things that I don't use as often, but that would be nice gifts if anybody wanted to give them to you. Or you see these maybe for sale, secondhand, or estate sale or something. You know what they are. And if you are like I said, interested in hand spinning, interested in fiber arts, these are the basics. These are the names of the tools that you will need. And these, if you're going to go into the master spinner, definitely you would want this kit as well to get you into, to help you get through the master spinner. So this is it for Spinning the Past, and I wish you a happy holiday.